Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're doing something a bit different. We're wading into some really deep, murky waters.
That's putting it mildly. We've got a stack here, a really significant pile of first-person accounts detailing some profoundly strange encounters.
Exactly. These are reports from all over the continental U.S. Think deserts, dense forests, highways late at night. And what we're doing today is looking for the common threads, the patterns that run through these seemingly disconnected events.
Yeah, and our focus isn't just going to be on, what did they see? A light, a shape, whatever. We're pushing past that.
Right. We want to know how these sightings interacted with reality. What were the physical effects?
Yeah.
The sensory impacts?
That's the mission. We're zoning in on these shared phenomena. Things like unnatural, profound silence, complete electronic and mechanical failures, glitches maybe.
More than glitches, it seems. And then there's the big one. Time, missing time, clocks going haywire, and this feeling of localized atmospheric change, like the air itself is different.
We have, 15 detailed accounts we're working with here?
15, yeah. Really detailed. And we're grouping them, looking at them side by side based on these shared anomalies, trying to see if we can piece together the physics of the impossible.
It's about looking for a signature, isn't it? If there's an intelligence or at least a consistent technology behind these events, what is its operational fingerprint?
Exactly. Is there a playbook? Can we define how this phenomenon interacts with our world?
It's like shifting from just collecting weird stories to trying to reverse engineer something based on its effects. We're treating these accounts almost like field reports on some kind of advanced energy system.
And what jumps out immediately, even just from a first glance through these 15, is that the weird effects, the silence, the dead electronics, the time stuff, they don't seem accidental.
No, not like collateral damage from some engine running hot. They seem integral, almost purposeful, like features, not bugs.
Suggesting an intelligence that isn't just present, but is actively manipulating the local environment. Changing the rules, maybe?
Changing the fundamental constants of local reality, potentially. Time, electromagnetism, maybe even gravity.
Okay, let's dig in. Part 1. The Mojave Silence and the Electronic Death Zones. We're looking at incidents in Arizona, Nevada, California, places where UAP encounters led to this total simultaneous shutdown of everything mechanical and electrical.
And it's often paired with that spooky, unnatural silence we mentioned, and of course, missing time. This is where you really see the control being exerted over the environment.
So the first thought naturally is some kind of massive electromagnetic pulse, right? An EMP.
That's the baseline hypothesis, sure, an EMF projection. But EMF feels too broad, almost too simple for what's described here.
How so?
Because it's not just general interference, like your radio getting staticky when a big truck goes by. These accounts describe an instantaneous, total system failure. Everything goes dark at the exact same moment.
Like a switch being flipped.
Precisely. And it affects everything, not just the fancy electronics, but the core mechanical functions too. It can kill a running car engine dead.
Which runs on gasoline, chemical combustion, not just electricity.
Exactly. So the field has to be pervasive enough or targeted enough to neutralize the electrical spark needed for ignition, the fuel injectors perhaps, the car's own computer all at once. That's incredibly precise control.
Okay, let's pull up the first story. This one sets the tone. Kingman, Arizona, heading towards Barstow, California. Late August, Interstate I-40, almost midnight. You know that drive. Empty, dark, fast.
Oh yeah, prime territory for strangeness.
So the driver's just cruising along. Then the little things start, dashboard lights just flicker. The radio cuts out, silence. Then the speedometer needle starts twitching erratically.
And initial signs of interference, the system's becoming unstable.
And then it hits all at once. The witness says everything dies. Engine cuts out completely. Headlights go black. All the gauges drop to zero. Air conditioning shuts off. No sputter, no coasting to a stop. Just bam, dead. Imagine that feeling. Utter powerlessness.
Stranded. In the dark. Middle of nowhere. And the simultaneity you mentioned is key. Headlights, engine spark, radio, gauges. Killing all of them instantly requires an external force field that permeates the entire vehicle.
A bubble, you said. Like a bubble of impossibility.
That's a good way to put it. A localized field effect creating a zone where normal physical laws, or at least technological functions, are temporarily suspended.
But then comes the part that really gets under your skin. The sensory shift. The witness gets out of the car, and the silence. It's overwhelming. They call it suffocating stillness.
Not just quiet, stillness.
Exactly. No engine ticking as it cools, no hum from the electrical systems, no wind noise, which is weird out there, and worse, no desert sounds, no insects buzzing, no coyotes yipping, nothing. Just dead air. Air that presses on your ears.
That detail, the pressing on your ears, suggests a change in atmospheric pressure or maybe something affecting the eardrum directly. But the absence of all ambient sound is profound.
So what could cause that? Is it related to the same field that killed the car?
It almost has to be. If this UAP is projecting a powerful electromagnetic field, that field might interact with the air itself, maybe changing its density or somehow damping sound wave propagation.
Like noise-canceling headphones for the entire environment.
On a massive scale, potentially. Or it could be a byproduct. A sheer energy involved might create an acoustic vacuum around the object. Either way, it's environmental control and deeply unsettling for the witness. Pure sensory deprivation.
So they're standing there in this bubble of silence and dead technology, and then they see it. A bright white light, described as not blindingly bright, just intense, gliding silently about a quarter mile up the road.
Silent glide. No engine noise, no propulsion signature. Classic.
It moves smoothly, steadily, almost like it's scanning the highway. Then it pauses. And as it pauses, the desert around it lights up in this weird, pale white light.
Ah, the flat light effect.
Yeah. The witness says it killed all the shadows, made the landscape look completely flat, two-dimensional, like a photograph that's been overexposed.
That's often reported in these close encounters with high-energy sources. The light is so intense, or perhaps omnidirectional, that it overwhelms all ambient light, erasing shadows and depth perception. Very disorienting.
And the object's departure.
Let me guess. Instantaneous and vertical.
You got it. Shot straight up. The witness said, like a pinprick, just vanishing into the night sky. No sound, no visible acceleration, just gone.
Zero inertia. Instantaneous velocity change. That's the hallmark of this technology. It's not overcoming inertia. It's either negating it or operating outside of it entirely. The complete defiance of classical mechanics.
Okay, so the object leaves. The driver, probably terrified, gets back in the car, tries the ignition.
It starts.
Immediately.
Yeah.
Like nothing ever happened. The engine turns over perfectly. The lights come back on. The radio probably blasts back to life mid-song. The normal world just snaps back into place.
Which tells us the external field collapsed or was withdrawn just as quickly as it was imposed. The bubble popped.
But there's an after effect, right? A hangover from the encounter.
Almost always. The systems might reboot, but they often show residual glitches. Like the system memory is corrupted or struggling to recalibrate.
Exactly. The witness reported the GPS couldn't get a signal for a while. The phone screen kept glitching, showing white static. And the car's temperature gauge was stuck on cold for about 10 minutes, even though the engine was running.
That's the electromagnetic residue. The sensitive electronics took a hard hit from that field, and even after the main power kill is gone, the components are left scrambled or damaged. It's like trying to reboot a computer after a massive power surge. Some things may not come back online properly right away.
But the most disturbing after effect, the one that haunts these stories, is the time.
Ah, yes. The missing time.
The witness felt like the whole thing, the car dying, getting out, seeing the light, watching it leave, getting back in, maybe took 5 minutes, 10 at most, subjectively.
But the clock.
The car clock read 12:43 a.m. When they looked at their watch, same thing. Calculations based on where they were and when they started suggested a significant chunk of time, maybe 40 minutes, maybe more, was just gone, unaccounted for.
Right, and this is the crucial question. Is it just the clock's malfunctioning due to the EMP-like effect, or is it genuine temporal distortion? Did time itself get warped?
How can we even tell the difference?
It's tricky, but we look for corroborating factors. Did only the clocks mess up, or did multiple independent timekeeping devices show the same discrepancy? Was the witness's subjective sense of time passage radically different from the measured time? And crucially, does this happen in conjunction with these other physics-defying phenomena, like the dead car and the silent, inertialess object?
So in the Kingman case,
You have the subjective feeling of short duration, the objective clock showing a large gap, the simultaneous electronic failure, and the presence of the UAP. Taken together, it strongly suggests more than just a broken clock. It points towards a localized temporal anomaly.
the UAP's energy field didn't just kill the car, it warped space-time around it.
That's the hypothesis. The immense energy required for its operation might create a temporary bubble where the flow of time is altered relative to the outside world. It could slow down, stop, or even, as we'll see later, potentially reverse locally. For the person inside that bubble, time might feel normal or compressed, but when the bubble collapses, they find the outside world's clock has jumped ahead.
Okay. That's a lot to process. Let's link this to another incident, different location, similar themes. Lone Pine, Big Pine area, Highway 395 in California. Also late, after 9 p.m.
Another desolate stretch of road. Seems to be a pattern.
The witness sees 5 white lights. They're in a rough V shape, high up above a ridgeline, moving slowly, perfectly evenly spaced and completely silent.
Silent formation flying. Another recurring element.
Yeah.
Precise, coordinated, no sound.
Naturally, the first instinct is record this.
Yep.
Witness pulls out their phone, tries to open the camera app.
And it freezes.
Instantly. Phone just locks up completely, screen unresponsive.
Okay, so here, the effect is different from Kingman. Kingman was a brute force shutdown of everything. Here, it seems more targeted. The vehicle wasn't affected, but the recording device was specifically disabled.
Suggests some more nuanced control. Or maybe a different aspect of the field.
Could be either. Maybe the field strength wasn't enough to kill the car, but enough to fry the delicate circuits of the phone. Or maybe the intelligence behind it specifically targets recording devices. Anti-documentation capability.
That's a chilling thought. But this is where the story takes a turn from just strange to deeply, deeply weird.
Yeah.
The witness isn't alone for long.
Oh.
A second car pulls up and stops about 50 feet behind them on the shoulder. But this car, it's wrong. Everything about it is wrong.
So, define wrong.
Okay, the headlights. They aren't pointed down the road. They're tilted up, maybe 90 degrees, shining straight into the sky, like 2 searchlights.
Vertical beams, any spill, diffusion.
None. The witness described it like the beams just stopped, like they hit an invisible ceiling maybe 50 feet up. Perfectly focused columns of light ending abruptly in the darkness.
That's physically impossible for standard headlights. Light diffuses, scatters. To have beams terminate sharply like that suggests either an artificial barrier or the light itself isn't conventional photons, it's structured light.
And the car itself.
Yeah.
No one visible inside, no engine noise, no exhaust fumes. Even on a cool night, it just sits there silently with its impossible headlights pointing up.
Like a prop, a piece of stage scenery placed there deliberately.
That's exactly the feeling the witness got. It didn't feel like another driver stopping to help. It felt placed, artificial, part of the display.
The implications of that are disturbing. It suggests not just observation, but active manipulation of the scene. Theatricality, almost. Why introduce this impossible car? Is it a marker, a power source, a distraction?
While the witness is grappling with this impossible car, the sensory experience changes again. Not silence this time, but a sound, or rather, a feeling.
Gahum.
A faint buzzing, low, rhythmic. Then it seemed to drop an octave, becoming this deep vibration that the witness could feel in their chest, resonating.
Infrasound, perhaps. Below the normal range of hearing, felt rather than heard, consistent with a massive energy source operating nearby, possibly linked to the V formation lights or the impossible car.
And then the main event unfolds. The 5 lights up on the ridge break formation. One by one, they ascend vertically. The witness said it looked like they were being lifted by invisible strings, smoothly, silently, until they just wink out.
Again, that invisible strings description. The mind trying to explain movement without apparent propulsion. Smooth, vertical descent, zero inertia.
As soon as the last light vanishes, the impossible car behind the witness does something even stranger.
It drives off.
It vanishes instantly. One moment it's there, headlights pointing up, the next, gone. No taillights receding, no sound of an engine starting or tires on gravel, just blinked out of existence.
Movement.
Yeah.
Displacement or dematerialization.
Yeah.
That's a whole other level.
But here's the kicker. Physical proof. Later, the witness and investigators found tire marks on the shoulder where the car had stopped. Normal-looking tire marks. But the marks just end abruptly, right where the car vanished.
Okay, that's huge. It was physically present, solid enough to leave tire impressions on pavement. But its departure method wasn't physical movement through space. It suggests teleportation, phasing out of reality, or instant cloaking technology that somehow removes the physical mass from that location, a direct violation of continuity.
And the time. The time discrepancy here makes Kingman look minor.
How bad was it?
The witness checks their wristwatch, a standard analog watch. It reads about 10:30 p.m., which felt right for the duration of the event. Then they check their phone, which had unfrozen after the car vanished. The phone's clock reads 2:18 a.m.
Whoa, okay, that's nearly 4 hours. 4 hours of missing time.
Completely unaccounted for. Linked directly to the presence of that V formation, the weird ground vibration, and that impossible disappearing car.
So Kingman showed us maybe a temporal stutter, a brief suspension or slowdown. Lone Pine seems to demonstrate a massive temporal gap, a whole chunk of reality scooped out, associated with a much more complex, structured event involving multiple objects and that bizarre ground element.
Both cases, though, point to the same core capability, right? An external force manipulating electromagnetism in local time.
Absolutely. The scale and complexity differ, but the underlying physics-bending technology seems consistent. The UAP presence creates a zone where its own operational requirements override our known physical laws, including the steady flow of time. The duration of that override might depend on how long the object is there or how much power it's deploying, but the result is the same. Reality for the witness gets fractured.
Okay, let's pivot slightly. If the Mojave incidents were about time being lost or stretched, this next pair of accounts feels different. It's about time being marked. Specifically, this really strange recurrence of a digital timestamp, 3.33 a.m.
Ah, the 3.33 phenomenon. This one is fascinating because it shifts from apparent failure of clocks to a specific repeated reading.
Exactly. The question becomes, is 3.33 a.m. just some weird failure mode that digital clocks happen to fall into under this kind of interference? Like how old VCRs used to blink 12,000? Or is it something else, an intentional marker? A signature.
Well, think about it statistically.
Yeah.
If it were random electromagnetic interference causing clock failure, you'd expect a variety of failure states. Clocks resetting to 0, freezing at the moment of interference, showing garbled numbers, maybe flashing 12.00 like you said.
Right. Lots of different random outcomes.
But to have multiple geographically separate incidents where diverse digital devices, not just one type of clock, all synchronized to the exact same non-standard time like 3.33 a.m., that smells less like random failure and more like signal injection or very specific system resonance.
Let's get into the first case. Tacoma, Washington. An apartment building, 3rd floor. Witness is home alone, roommates away. They wake up suddenly in the middle of the night.
To what?
To every single digital clock in the apartment, flashing the same time, 3.33 a.m. We're talking phone, microwave, stove display, bedside alarm clock, the cable box, the coffee maker, the thermostat. Even, get this, the fancy digital clock on their high-end toaster. All perfectly synchronized, flashing 3.33.
Wow. Okay, the range of devices is critical there. Different manufacturers, different chipsets, different power sources even, all showing the same non-zero, non-reset time. That strongly argues against a simple power surge or localized EMP.
And there's atmosphere too. The room is filled with this soft, pale blue glow, like light from a dim aquarium, the witness said. No specific source, just ambient blue light.
Ionization, the energy field affecting the air itself, causing it to glow faintly blue, that's plausible.
Also, no sound at all. Dead quiet again. And the air felt heavy, thick. The witness felt static electricity prickling on their skin.
Heavy air, static charge, blue glow. That all points to a significant atmospheric energy event occurring right there in the room. And the clock synchronization suggests this energy field didn't just disrupt the timing circuits, it actively imposed a specific time onto them.
Like a forced reboot to a specific state.
Or a temporary override, locking all digital timing systems to an external temporal frequency or signal, forcing them all to read 3.33 while the field was active.
So what happens when the field dissipates?
The witness says the blue glow just fades. The power seems to flicker or cut out momentarily. Their phone reboots itself, and when it comes back on, the time reads 3.34 a.m.
So only a minute passed, according to the phone's clock, after the 3.33 sync.
Seems like it. Suggests the 3.33 event itself was relatively brief, but the lingering evidence is fascinating.
The artifact.
Yeah. The TV, which had been off, suddenly flashed its input menu onto the screen. But the screen was just a solid frozen blue, the exact same shade of pale blue as the ambient glow they'd seen filling the room.
Like a visual echo of the event burned into the electronics?
Exactly. And then the really concrete piece, the photo.
Right. Later, looking through their phone's camera roll, the witness finds a photo they have absolutely no memory of taking, time-stamped 3.33 a.m. And the photo shows their living room, bathed in that faint, pale blue light.
That is incredible. It's like the system tried to erase the event, but a fragment, a single data point captured during the temporal anomaly, somehow survived.
A digital ghost. Proof of the blue glow, captured at the exact moment the clocks were synced.
It suggests either a flaw in the erasure process or maybe it was left intentionally. A calling card? It's hard to say. But the fact that the roommate later confirmed seeing a faint blue light pulsing against the apartment windows from outside adds external validation.
Okay, now let's connect Tacoma to Amarillo, Texas. Totally different setting. Witness is doing a late-night delivery run, driving a minivan on an empty highway.
Another highway encounter.
This one starts with sound. or synthesized sound. The radio, which was playing music, suddenly cuts out, and it's replaced by this faint digital-sounding sequence of notes.
Notes, like music?
Yeah, described as like a xylophone scale. 5 distinct notes climbing up, simple, clear, and this 5-note sequence repeats 3 times, then silence.
That is bizarre. Not static, not interference hum, but a structured melodic sequence.
What does that suggest to you?
It feels less like propulsion noise bleeding through and more like a signal, a transmission. Maybe some kind of system initialization sound or a navigation ping, something informational intentionally structured that happened to get picked up by the radio's frequency range.
While hearing this, the witness also noticed something odd about the sky. The stars seemed to be pulsing. Subtly, but definitely pulsing.
Atmospheric distortion again. The energy field causing the starlight to shimmer or refract rhythmically could be linked to the energy source producing those tones.
Then a brief visual. A small light seen flickering out near the horizon. It hovers for a second, then it's gone. Almost immediately after, the witness smells ozone, that distinct electrical smell.
Ozone is a classic indicator of high voltage discharge or ionization. Confirms a powerful energy source was nearby, even if the visual was fleeting.
But here's the link to Tacoma. Right after the light vanishes and the ozone smell hits, the digital clock on the minivan's dashboard suddenly blinks 3:33 a.m.
Even though the clock had been showing the correct time, or it might have even been off.
Exactly. It just momentarily flashed 3:33 a.m., then presumably went back to normal or blank. It wasn't a reset, it was a specific injection of that number.
Wow. So Tacoma had the full room glow and the sustained 3.33 flashing. Amarillo has the auditory signal, the brief visual, the ozone, and then the fleeting 3.33 marker on the dash clock. Different manifestations, but the same timestamp signature.
And after the 3.33 blink, a low humming tone starts, described as sounding like rhythmic breathing. And then tiny distant lights appear scattered across the horizon, seeming to pace the minivan.
The breathing hum and pacing lights add another layer of perceived intelligence or biological mimicry, almost like the initial event triggered a secondary surveillance mode.
So let's circle back to the core question about 3.33 a.m. Given these two cases, Tacoma's widespread sync and Amarillo's targeted blink, are we leaning more towards intentional marker or system artifact?
I have to lean towards something more than just a random failure mode. The consistency across different devices, different locations, different types of encounters. It's too specific.
So not just a coincidence that certain circuits overload in the same way.
It feels unlikely. It could be a highly specific byproduct. Maybe the UAP's energy field resonates at a frequency that happens to make many digital clocks display 3.33. Or maybe their operational system uses a specific internal clock cycle or identifier that, when it interacts with our technology, manifests as 3.33.
Like a universal identifier number bleeding through.
Possibly. Or, the more unsettling option, it's intentional. A temporal marker left behind deliberately. A signature. Like digital graffiti saying, we were here at this point in your timeline. Why 3.33? Numerology, some kind of coordinate system, we have no idea. But its recurrence demands we treat it as significant data. It's part of the fingerprint.
Okay, moving from the ephemeral time glitches, digital ghosts to the solid. Part 2. Physical traces and environmental manipulation. Here we're looking at cases where these encounters left behind tangible, measurable evidence. Scorch marks, weird ground impressions, manipulated water, strangely altered objects.
This is crucial because it anchors the high strangeness in physical reality. It demonstrates that the energy involved isn't just affecting electronics or perception, it's interacting with and altering physical matter in measurable ways.
It implies that whatever technology allows these things to fly silently and mess with time also requires or expels enormous amounts of energy when interacting closely with the ground or environment.
Exactly. And that energy leaves scars, thermal scars, kinetic scars, chemical traces sometimes. These aren't just stories, they have physical correlates, however temporary they might sometimes be.
Let's start in Lubbock, Texas. A distribution warehouse, middle of the night, around 2 a.m. A security guard is doing his rounds.
Standard scenario, until it isn't.
He sees it first on the monitors. A round, steady white glow, hovering maybe 100 feet above the warehouse roof. It's visible on 3 different external cameras. So document it.
Multiple camera angles, good baseline.
Then the physical effects start hitting him directly. The air pressure suddenly drops, his ears pop sharply. Almost simultaneously, the big backup generator for the facility cuts out. Dead silence.
Generator kill. That takes significant power interference. And the ear popping confirms a rapid pressure change.
But the silence doesn't last. It's replaced by this deep, low vibration. He described it feeling like a subwoofer turned way up, vibrating through the concrete floor and up his legs.
The hum again, or rather the vibration, felt, not heard. Kinetic energy transfer through the ground. The signature of the active power field.
And predictably, his personal electronics die. Flashlight goes out, phone is dead, complete local shutdown.
Standard playbook for close encounters. Power disruption, atmospheric effects, sensory phenomena like the vibration.
Okay, so the guard is stuck there, in the vibrating dark. He watches the light above the roof. It doesn't shoot off this time. It just slowly dims, fading, until it seems to melt into the clouds and disappears.
A slow fade out. Interesting variation.
The moment it's gone, the generator kicks back on instantly, power restored.
Field withdrawn, systems reboot, consistent pattern.
But here's where the tech guys get involved and things get really weird. The guard goes back to the monitoring station to review the footage. All 16 camera feeds, internal and external, had gone black during the event.
Expected, given the power cut and likely EMF. But the timestamps.
That's the twist. The timestamps on all 16 feeds froze simultaneously at 2:24 a.m.
Okay.
Okay, makes sense. Maybe that's when the generator died or the field hit hardest. But when the feeds came back online after the light disappeared, the time didn't jump forward to, say, 2:30 a.m.
It jumped backward.
It jumped backward. The first timestamp recorded after the blackout was 2:15 a.m. The system clock somehow rolled back 9 minutes during the blackout.
Whoa. Okay, that's not just a power outage corrupting a file. That's evidence of temporal manipulation affecting the digital recording system itself. The field didn't just stop the recording, it seems to have imposed a pastime onto the system's internal clock before allowing it to resume.
The security tech who investigated was baffled. He confirmed it wasn't a simple power loss issue. The logs showed the cameras received some kind of internal command, not a manual one to stop recording, all at the exact same microsecond. But he had zero explanation for the time jumping backward.
It implies the UAP's temporal field effect isn't just about creating missing time for observers. It can actively resequence recorded time within digital systems. It's editing the timeline.
And there was still a gap, right?
Yeah, even with the jump back, there was still a completely missing chunk of data. The tech identified an unexplained 3-minute gap between 2:1 a.m. and 2:15 a.m. where there was just nothing. No data, no recording, total blank.
So the sequence is, record normally until 2.1 failed, then 3 minutes of absolute data void, then recording resumes but stamped incorrectly, as 2.15 a.m. continues until 2.24 a.m. where it freezes, then jumps back online post-event, showing the correct time after 2.15 a.m. It's a mess.
It's a deliberately induced mess. It suggests a multi-stage process, erase a specific segment entirely, 2.15, 2.15, impose a false timeline, jumping back to 2.15, allow recording of potentially less sensitive moments, 2.15, 2.24, then induce the main system freeze blackout before finally letting the system recover. It's sophisticated data manipulation.
And the physical evidence that grounds this digital nightmare.
A scorch mark.
Yep, found the next day on the gravel patch right beside a maintenance stairwell near where the object was hovering. A faint circular mark about 6 feet across. The gravel was darker, looked dried out, and crucially, even in the mid-afternoon Texas sun, that patch of gravel felt noticeably warm to the touch.
Thermal residue. Direct physical evidence of significant energy discharge at that precise location. It confirms the object was physically present and interacting energetically with the ground, leaving a measurable heat signature hours later.
So Lubbock gives us multi-camera visual, pressure drop, generator kill, infrasound vibration, personal electronics failure, sophisticated digital time manipulation, including reversal and gaps, and a lingering thermal scorch mark. That's a dense cluster of anomalies.
Extremely dense. It shows a coordinated application of multiple effects, electromagnetic, acoustic, temporal, and thermal, a full spectrum dominance of the local environment.
Okay, let's go from dusty Texas gravel to the damp Pacific coast. Lincoln City, Oregon. Midnight, witnesses on a bluff overlooking the ocean.
Dramatic setting.
It starts with a sudden, intense flash of pure white light out over the water, blindingly bright for just a second. Then it resolves into something else. A narrow, perfectly defined column of light reaching from the clouds, or maybe just the sky, straight down to the surface of the ocean.
A beam, like a searchlight from above. Sort of, but described as perfectly still, perfectly cylindrical, not spreading out like a normal beam, just a solid pillar of light connecting sky and sea.
Okay, projecting a coherent beam like that takes energy, but what happened next is the real physics breaker.
Oh yeah. The witness, compelled, walks down from the bluff onto the beach itself. And as they get closer, they realize something is profoundly wrong with the ocean.
How so? The tide?
The motion. The entire ocean, as far as they could see within the vicinity of this light beam, was completely still, utterly motionless. Waves were frozen mid-curl. The waterline was a perfectly straight, unmoving line. Even the sea foam on the wet sand was static, unmoving.
Hold on. Paused. The ocean was paused.
That's the description. The immense constant energy of the Pacific tide just stopped. Frozen in time, it seemed. Imagine standing there, the roar of the surf replaced by absolute impossible silence and stillness from the water. The scale of energy required to do that, it's astronomical. You're talking about counteracting the gravitational pull of the moon, the Earth's rotation, the wind energy, the water's own inertia over a significant volume of ocean. That's planetary scale energy manipulation.
How could that even work? What kind of field could stop the ocean?
We're deep into theoretical territory here. Maybe some kind of localized gravity negation field, or a spaceless field that freezes molecular motion within its boundaries. Perhaps related to the technology that allows for inertialess flight, but applied externally to the environment. Whatever the mechanism, it suggests a mastery over fundamental forces that is far beyond anything we can conceive of.
While witnessing this impossible stillness, the observer tries to capture it. Phone out. Camera out.
Fails again.
Yep. Shows only blackness. Screen unresponsive. But then they try something else. They manually trigger the phone's flash.
What happened?
The instant the flash went off, the entire massive column of light connecting sky and sea vanished. For a split second, it was just gone. Then, just as quickly, it reappeared, exactly as before.
Whoa. Okay. That's not just anti-recording, that's active counter-illumination. The system detected the incoming photons from the flash and instantly shut down the primary beam emission to avoid being illuminated or perhaps analyzed spectrographically, then restored it once the flash was gone.
That's incredibly sophisticated. Real-time defensive reaction to a simple camera flash.
It confirms a high level of situational awareness and automated defense against documentation or analysis. The system is designed to operate covertly and resist scrutiny.
Any other sensory details during this? Smell. Sound.
Yes. A faint smell described as burnt ozone or hot metal similar to Lubbock but mixed with something else. The smell of old wet stone, like a damp cave. And the only sound was the witness's own breathing in the otherwise dead silent, motionless environment.
And the climax. How did the ocean unpause?
The witness says the beam of light pulsed once, slowly, like a giant heartbeat. As it pulsed, the color shifted from white to a pale green. Then, the instant the green pulse faded, the entire ocean seemed to inhale. That was the word used. And then the first wave crashed, hard, loud, like a breath being released after being held for a long time. Physics snapped back online.
The transition from total stillness to sudden, violent motion must have been jarring.
Extremely. And again, the instantaneous release suggests the controlling field was withdrawn completely and immediately. No gradual return to normal, just on, then off.
And like Lubbock, was there a physical trace left behind?
Yes. Found the next morning when the tide was out. A long, shallow depression in the sand, described as compacted sand forming a perfect arc, about 30 feet wide.
A perfect arc, not just a disturbed patch.
Geometric precision again. Suggests the energy field interacted with the ground at its base, perhaps where the beam met the water-sand interface, leaving a smooth, compressed, geometrically defined mark. Maybe a landing trace. Maybe a side effect of the energy involved in holding the water still.
So, Lincoln City. Massive environmental control, pausing the ocean, active counter-documentation, beam reacting to flash, specific sensory details, ozone-wet stone smell, and a geometrically precise ground trace. The scale is just immense.
It really pushes the boundaries of what we consider possible. If these accounts are accurate, we're dealing with technology that treats planetary forces like minor variables.
Let's move inland, to the Ozark foothills near Bentonville, Arkansas. This one is less dramatic, perhaps, but equally strange in its physical evidence. A farmer, early October morning, walking his recently harvested cornfield.
Okay, rural setting. What does he find?
First, the smell. Beneath the usual scent of damp earth and decaying corn stalks, there was an unmistakable metallic tang in the air. Sharp, chemical, not normal.
Metallic scent. Ozone again, or something related, consistent with energy discharge.
Then he sees them. Scattered across a wide section of the field are dozens, maybe hundreds, of small stones. Smooth, polished, almost like river rocks, but they don't belong there.
Foreign objects introduced to the environment. Okay, what was weird about them?
Two things. First, despite the cool October morning air, the stones were warm to the touch. Not scorching, but noticeably warm, like they'd been sitting in the sun or near a heater. He compared it to holding a cup of hot coffee.
Residual heat.
like the Lubbock scorch mark, but distributed across many small objects, suggests they were recently subjected to or emitted significant thermal energy.
And the second thing, even stranger. When he picked one up, he felt a faint, almost imperceptible vibration coming from the stone itself, like a tiny motor was running inside it.
Residual kinetic energy. The stones aren't just warm, they're still resonating from whatever energy field interacted with them. That's wild. It's like they were momentarily charged, thermally and kinetically.
Like tiny batteries storing the UAP's energy signature.
That's a fascinating analogy. They absorbed energy during the encounter and were slowly releasing it as heat and vibration.
And there's the environmental context again. The farmer noted the field felt too quiet. No birds singing, no wind rustling the leftover stalks. That familiar oppressive silence. He also saw a faint shimmer in the air down by the tree line where the fog was thickest, like heat haze, but on a cool morning.
Stillness, silence, visual atmospheric distortion, the shimmer. Consistent environmental markers of the UAP presence.
But here's a detail that speaks to precision. The warm vibrating stones weren't scattered randomly across the whole field. They stopped abruptly at what the farmer described as an invisible line near the fence row bordering a creek.
A boundary.
Yeah. On one side of this invisible line, stones were warm and vibrating. He picked up identical-looking stones just a few feet away on the other side of the line, and they were cold and inert. Perfectly normal.
That sharp cutoff is incredibly significant. It rules out natural explanations like geothermal activity or residual sunlight. It demonstrates, like the Lincoln City arc, that the UAP's energy field had a precise, geometrically defined edge. Inside the boundary, matter was affected. Outside, it wasn't. High precision energy containment.
In the aftermath, did the stones stay warm?
No. The farmer collected a few, but by the next morning, the ones left in the field were cold, the vibration gone, the metallic smell had faded, the soil looked undisturbed. The evidence was temporary.
The temporal fragility again. Real physical evidence, but it degrades or disappears quickly. Consistent pattern.
So Bentonville gives us olfactory traces, metallic smell, thermal residue, warm stones, kinetic residue, vibrating stones, environmental silencing, atmospheric distortion, shimmer, and highly precise field boundaries. It connects the ground traces directly to residual energy states in matter.
All right, let's take this defiance of physics up into the sky. Part 3. The aerial pacing fleet and the defiance of kinematics. We're focusing now on reports, particularly from pilots, involving metallic, silent objects that exhibit perfect mirroring or pacing behavior and execute maneuvers that seem to instantly violate the laws of inertia and aerodynamics.
This is where we get some of the clearest data points on the flight characteristics. High altitude, controlled environments, trained observers like pilots, the information is often very precise. And it consistently points to non-inertial propulsion.
Meaning they move without seeming to accelerate or decelerate in the way physical objects should.
Exactly. They change speed and direction instantly without any visible means of propulsion, without creating sonic booms when exceeding Mach 1, and seemingly without subjecting any occupants, if any, to the crushing G-forces that such maneuvers would normally entail. They appear to manipulate inertia itself.
We have two striking accounts here from commercial airline pilots. Different routes, different times, but the core experience is nearly identical. Pilot 1 was flying Denver to Chicago. Pilot 2 was Minneapolis to Denver, both flying at high altitude, around 40,000 feet.
Standard cruising altitude for commercial jets. Above most weather, clear visibility usually.
Both pilots report encountering the same type of object, a small, silver, or metallic sphere. Perfectly round, no visible markings, no seams, no lights, no wings, no control surfaces, and critically important, no sound and no radar signature. Their aircraft radar did not pick it up at all.
Okay, the description is classic tic-tac or sphere UAP. Metallic, seamless, no obvious propulsion. The lack of radar return is key. It means it's either too small, unlikely given visual confirmation, made of radar-absorbent materials, possible, or actively employing some form of stealth or cloaking technology that bends or absorbs radar waves.
But the behavior is what's truly mind-bending. In both cases, the sphere would approach the aircraft and then just pace it perfectly, matching the airliner's speed, altitude, and every slight movement, gentle climbs, descents, banking turns.
Perfect mirroring.
With absolutely no lag, no deviation.
Yeah.
The pilots emphasized this. It wasn't like another aircraft trying to fly formation. It was instantaneous, perfect mimicry.
That's the non-inertial part. To match the subtle, continuous adjustments of a massive, fast-moving airliner instantly requires a propulsion system that isn't based on thrust and aerodynamics.
How would that work? How could it possibly mirror so perfectly?
The leading hypothesis is that the object generates a localized field around itself, perhaps a gravitational distortion field or something similar. This field effectively isolates the object from external inertia, or allows it to lock on to the reference frame of another object, like the airliner.
So it's not flying alongside the plane, it's more like anchored to the same piece of moving space-time.
That's one way to conceptualize it, yes. It negates its own inertia relative to the target it's pacing. This allows for instantaneous mirroring because it's not calculating and executing thrust vectors, it's simply adjusting its local reality bubble to match the airliner's position second by second. It requires immense energy control and computational speed.
Both pilots reported feeling stressed, unnerved by this silent, perfect, inexplicable companion just hanging there off their wingtip.
Understandably, it's a violation of their known operational reality. Something impossible is demonstrably happening right outside their cockpit window.
And the encounter ends just as strangely. In both separate incidents, the sphere suddenly darted away from the aircraft and headed directly into a large, dense cloud bank, or in one case, a towering cumulonimbus storm cell.
Flew straight into the cloud.
Straight in and vanished instantly.
And the pilots reported
Nothing. No turbulence from its wake as it departed. No flash or explosion as it entered the cloud. No spike on any instruments. Magnetic compass stable. Avionics normal. Radar still clear. Despite entering what should be turbulent air, especially the storm cell, the object left no trace. It just ceased to be visible or detectable the moment it crossed the cloud boundary.
That's highly significant. Entering a dense medium like a cloud, especially a turbulent storm, should have effects. The lack of any suggests the object either. A, instantly cloaked upon entering the cloud, becoming visually and perhaps physically transparent. B, phase into a different dimension or state where clouds aren't an obstacle. Or C, use the cloud cover as a natural screen while rapidly accelerating away undetected.
Could the clouds themselves be relevant, like a power source or a portal?
Some theories propose that UAPs might interact with atmospheric plasma or electrical potential within storm clouds. Or perhaps the visual and electromagnetic clutter inside a dense cloud provides an ideal environment for cloaking or transitioning. It's speculative, but the pattern of using clouds for disappearance is noted in many reports.
Now, let's bring that impossible aerial precision down to the ground level. Highway 67 in Colorado. A truck driver, daytime, sees something hovering low over the opposite lane of the highway. Maybe 12, 15 feet off the pavement.
Low altitude hover? Okay. Description.
Similar to the pilot reports in some ways. Metallic-looking shape, smooth surfaces, but with subtle facets or angles, not perfectly round. Critically, no visible rivets, seams, or panels. Size estimated as similar to a small car.
Seamless construction again. Suggests advanced manufacturing, maybe molecular assembly or molded forms, not bolted together tech like ours.
It's just hanging there, silently. Then it begins to ascend, slowly, smoothly. The driver uses that same phrase we heard before, as if somebody had eased it up on invisible strings.
That perception of effortless, silent, vertical movement, defying gravity without any visible effort or disturbance.
It rose slowly, paused for a moment, maybe 50 feet up, then continued its smooth, steady ascent straight up into a low cloud layer that was present that day. And just like the pilots reported.
Vanished into the cloud.
Completely. No sound, no lingering trail, no disturbance in the cloud. Just swallowed up.
The consistency between high-altitude pilot reports and ground-level witness reports regarding the smooth, inertialess movement and the cloud disappearance is striking. It reinforces the idea of a common technology and operational method.
And we get the familiar sensory and digital tags here too. Faint metallic ozone smell in the air after it vanished.
Energy discharge trace. Check.
And a digital glitch. The truck's GPS system suddenly jumped forward by 2 minutes right after the object disappeared into the cloud.
Temporal hiccup. Check. The signature holds. Mastery over inertia and gravity, associated energy discharge leaving olfactory traces, and localized temporal instability affecting digital systems. It's a package deal.
Okay, part 4. We see the physics violations, the digital ghosts, the physical traces. Now let's focus on the more intimate, localized sensory manipulations. The experiences where the environment immediately around the witness feels wrong, charged, or directly manipulated. We're talking about the hum, compass failures, weird light behaviors, and that suffocating stillness.
This is where the phenomenon feels most invasive, perhaps. It's not just an external object doing strange things, it's the witness's own sensory reality being actively altered by the UAP's presence. The energy field isn't just outside, it's enveloping them.
Let's head to the Sierra Nevada foothills in California. Solo camper, high country, early October, beautiful remote setting.
perfect place for quiet contemplation or high strangeness.
It starts with the quiet. The witness notices that everything has become strangely still. The wind, which had been blowing gently, just stops. The constant background noise of insects, gone. Utter silence falls.
Environmental silencing again. Check.
Then they feel something through the soles of their hiking boots, a faint vibration in the ground, described as a slow rolling pressure. Not sharp, just a deep, pervasive thrumming from the earth itself.
Ground vibration, linked to the Lubbock generator vibration, suggests the energy field is interacting kinetically with the terrain.
And then comes the hum, capital T, capital H, described as a deep, low-frequency vibration, almost below the range of hearing, but intensely felt, making the witness's ribs buzz, vibrating their chest cavity.
Infrasound, below 20 hertz.
Yeah.
We perceive it physically more than auditorily, often described as deeply unsettling, causing feelings of anxiety or pressure.
Where did it seem to come from?
Everywhere at once, omnidirectional. Not from a specific point, just saturating the entire local environment. It built steadily in intensity, then started to pulse with a slow, heavy rhythm. Pulsing energy discharge suggests a cyclical operation, maybe related to propulsion, cloaking, or the temporal effects we keep seeing.
And while this intense, body-shaking hum is happening, the witness pulls out their compass. Standard magnetic compass. The needle is locked dead north, absolutely frozen. Regardless of how the witness turned the compass housing, regardless of where they walked, the needle pointed steadfastly north, unmoving.
Okay, that's unequivocal proof of an extremely powerful, localized magnetic or electromagnetic field, strong enough to completely override the Earth's natural magnetic field and physically lock the compass needle. The UAP is generating its own dominant magnetic environment.
So the hum and the magnetic field are happening simultaneously.
It strongly implies they are linked phenomena. The massive energy discharge creating the infrasound vibration is also generating the intense magnetic field. They are two aspects of the same operational energy system.
Did the witness see anything?
Just a visual distortion. Looking towards the treetops, they saw the air shimmering like heat haze rising off hot pavement. But it was a cool day. Light seemed to be bending as it passed through that area, like looking through thick glass or oil on water. Refractive index changes. The energy field is dense enough to literally bend light passing through it. Visual confirmation of the field's presence.
How did it end?
Abruptly. The deep hum just cut off, instantly silent again. The moment the hum stopped, the compass needle snapped loose and started swinging wildly before settling on the correct magnetic north. The field collapsed, instantaneous cessation, and the release of the magnetic lock. Consistent. But the kicker.
Missing time. Big time. After the event, the witness checks their watch. It reads 4:37 p.m. But based on the sun's position and their hiking progress, it should have been around noon, maybe 1 p.m. at the latest.
Maybe 3.5 hours. Gone.
Vanished. And later, checking their GPS tracker's log, there was a gap. A solid 1.5 hours of missing track data during the time they were at the location. The GPS stopped recording during the event.
Okay, this case ties it all together beautifully. The infrasound hum, the extreme magnetic field locking the compass, the visual light distortion, the environmental silencing, and the significant missing time coupled with GPS data loss. It strongly suggests the energy field responsible for the hum and magnetic anomalies is the same mechanism that warps time. They are inseparable components of the UAP's operational signature.
Let's look at two smaller scale, but perhaps even more interactive encounters. Maplewood Park. Location less specific. Witness, walking across a grassy area, sees a small, circular white glow, maybe 6 inches across.
Tiny, like a drone.
Maybe, but its behavior was bizarre. It was hovering just an inch or two above the grass blades, motionless at first. Then, as the witness moved, it moved.
How so?
It perfectly kept pace with them. If they walked forward, it moved forward, maintaining the same distance. If they stopped, it stopped. If they zigzagged, it mirrored their path perfectly, still just an inch off the ground. If they crouched down, it stayed hovering at the same relative height.
That's incredible precision for something so small, hovering so close to the ground. It requires constant real-time tracking of the observer's position and velocity and instantaneous adjustments to its own position. Not pre-programmed flight, that's interactive tracking.
Predictably, when the witness tried to film it with their phone, the camera app froze, failed to record.
Anti-documentation field active even for this small object.
Yep.
Check.
And the light itself wasn't steady. It pulsed slowly, rhythmically. The witness described it as looking like it was breathing.
The breathing light, we saw that with the pacing lights in Amarillo too, adds this weird biological or organic quality to something that is clearly technological. Is it functional, communicative, or just a byproduct of its power cycle?
Compare that to an incident on a porch in northern Arizona.
Yeah.
Late night. Witnesses outside. The motion-activated floodlight above the porch starts flickering, not randomly, but with a very precise, steady rhythm. On, off, on, off.
Okay, rhythmic flickering. Interference with the electrical circuit?
Maybe. But there's more. Strong metallic ozone smell again, which then seemed to mix with a sulfurous odor. Brimstone.
Sulfur is less common, but sometimes reported. Adds another chemical trace to the mix.
And the hum is present. Faint, low, but continuous, seeming to fill the air all around the porch.
Low frequency hum. Check.
But here's the truly chilling part. The witness starts to feel like the rhythm of the flickering floodlight is matching their own heartbeat.
Whoa. Wait. Synchronized to their heartbeat. How could they even tell?
They became aware of their own heart rate due to the stress, and the on-off cycle of the light just felt like it was pulsing in perfect time with it. And then came the interaction. When the witness deliberately took a step forward towards the flickering light, the light instantly flared brighter. When they took a step back, it dimmed.
Okay, that changes everything. That's not just interference. That's a direct, real-time feedback loop. The light's intensity is responding directly to the witness's proximity.
But coupled with the perceived heartbeat synchronization, what does that imply?
It implies the system isn't just tracking the witness's physical location, like the Maplewood orb. It's potentially monitoring their physiological state, their heart rate, and incorporating that data into its interactive behavior, the light flicker.
Then it uses proximity data to modulate the light intensity.
That's deeply invasive. The technology isn't just observing, it's reading the person and reacting to their internal biology. If that interpretation is correct, yes. It suggests sensors capable of remotely detecting human vital signs and an AI sophisticated enough to integrate that data into an active interface in this case, using the house's own floodlight as its communication device. It's moved beyond simple observation into a form of active, responsive engagement based on the human's internal state. That's profoundly unsettling.
Which brings us to our final section, part 5, the Men in Black and the final, chilling implication. We've dissected the technology's effects, the physics bending, the data erasure, the traces. Now we have to confront the reported human element that sometimes follows these encounters and the lingering, unremovable evidence.
Right. If the UAP technology itself is the first layer of controlling the narrative by erasing or corrupting direct evidence, the MIB phenomena represents a potential second layer, direct human intervention to manage the witness and suppress the story.
Let's look at the Caliente, Nevada incident. The witness saw a light making sharp, impossible right-angle turns in the night sky near their remote home. Shaken, they submitted a very brief, low-key report to a small, local online news blog. More public disclosures to not making grand claims.
Minimal public disclosure, low visibility channel.
Hours later, 3:07 a.m., a sharp knock on their door.
Middle of the night. Classic timing for intimidation.
They open the door to find two men, dressed in black suits, described as looking nearly identical. Very pale skin, expressionless faces, flat, monotone voices. When they attempted to smile, it looked like someone imitating a smile, unnatural and forced.
The uncanny valley effect. High strangeness factor in the visitors themselves.
And the detail about their clothes? The suits were immaculate, perfectly pressed, not a speck of dust or wrinkle on them. This is in dusty rural Nevada. Impossible to arrive looking that pristine unless you just materialize there. Adds to the artificiality.
The speed of response is also critical. Showing up within hours of a tiny blurb appearing on a local blog suggests incredibly efficient monitoring of even obscure media, rapid analysis, and deployment capabilities. They knew who posted it and where they lived very quickly.
So these unsettling figures are at the door. What do they want? What's their focus?
The interrogation, as the witness described it, was very specific. They didn't ask, "What did you see?" They focused intensely on whether the light looked at you or if the witness felt they were watched.
That specific phrasing, looked at you,
Right.
Watched. Why that? The witness hadn't used that language in their blog post.
Exactly. It suggests the visitors are trying to steer the witness's memory and narrative. By emphasizing the subjective feeling of being observed, they shift the focus away from the objective, physics-defying behavior of the object, the right-angle turns, towards the witness's internal psychological experience.
Why is that distinction important?
Because subjective experience is inherently personal, unverifiable, and easily dismissed as misperception or imagination, objective reports of impossible kinematics are harder to refute if corroborated. The MIB seem less concerned with the UAP itself and more concerned with ensuring the evidence remains purely anecdotal and psychological.
They also asked repeatedly about any photos or videos, and seemed, the witness said, visibly relieved when told none were taken.
That confirms their primary objective: documentation control, preventing hard evidence from surfacing. They are the human cleanup crew for the information leak. Their job is to ensure the encounter remains an unprovable story, not a documented event. They act as a firewall between the phenomenon and public record.
So the technology erases the digital record. The MIB try to manage the human memory, but sometimes things slip through, or perhaps some traces are meant to remain. Let's talk about the persistent, unremovable artifacts, the digital ghosts, and the physical scars.
Right. Despite the apparent efforts at erasure, some evidence endures, often in strange or corrupted forms.
First, the permanent physical changes, like the unmoving compass from the Sierra Nevada camper. Even long after the encounter, back home, that specific compass remained permanently damaged, its needle locked pointing northeast, unresponsive to Earth's magnetic field.
That's a profound physical alteration. The UAP's energy field didn't just temporarily overlay the compass, it permanently remagnetized or physically damaged the needle mechanism. It left a lasting, unfixable scar on a scientific instrument designed to measure a fundamental property of reality, a permanent violation.
Then there are the digital artifacts, the corrupted files. We saw the Tacoma photo, taken unintentionally at 3:33 a.m., capturing the blue glow.
A glitch in the matrix, surviving the erasure.
We heard about the Lone Pine video attempt resulting in a frozen phone, the data likely lost or corrupted.
Active blocking of recording.
The Lubbock security cameras with the time jump backwards and the missing frames.
Sophisticated manipulation of the digital timeline.
And other accounts mention similar things. Video recordings that suddenly have frames missing during crucial moments of motion, digital clocks freezing or jumping, audio recordings capturing anomalies then vanishing from the device, digital ghosts in the machine.
The pattern across all these 15 accounts becomes undeniable, doesn't it? The intelligence or the technology demonstrates an incredible level of control over local reality.
How would you summarize that control?
It manipulates time, both subjectively for the witness and objectively within digital systems. It disables recording technologies with precision. It leaves behind physical evidence, scorch marks, metallic smells, warm stones, ground traces. But this evidence is often temporally fragile, fading quickly, or designed to be ambiguous. Or it leaves behind digital evidence that is inherently corrupted, glitchy, or incomplete.
So the goal seems to be
to actively resist documentation and proof. The encounter happens, the witness experiences it profoundly, but the technological footprint is designed to self-erase or degrade, leaving only gaps, contradictions, and the subjective human memory.
which is the easiest form of evidence to dismiss.
Exactly. The entire strategy, from the physics-bending flight to the time warps to the MIB visits, seems geared towards maintaining ambiguity and deniability. It allows the phenomenon to occur widely, yet remains stubbornly outside our accepted framework of reality.
So when we look at the whole picture, the silence, the perfect motion, the time slips, the data erasure, the MIB, what is the final chilling implication of this technological signature?
It implies an intelligence that is not just advanced, but acutely aware of us, our technology, and our methods of verification. It understands cameras, clocks, GPS, radar, and it has developed countermeasures for all of them. It chooses what gets recorded, what gets remembered reliably, and what gets relegated to the realm of anecdote.
The ultimate control isn't just over physics, it's over information, over proof itself.
Precisely. And that raises that fundamental question. When the basic rules of our reality, time, gravity, magnetism, even silence, can be temporarily suspended or manipulated by an external agent, and the evidence of that manipulation is systematically erased or corrupted, what reality are we actually experiencing? How much of it is potentially managed or edited without our knowledge?
It's a staggering thought. This deep dive into these 15 accounts reveals a consistent, deeply unsettling pattern. It's not just random lights, it's a systematic interaction signature.
Yes. Electromagnetic interference, temporal distortion, inertial negation, environmental silencing, and active resistance to documentation. That's the package. When you hear about future encounters, listen for those elements. That's the fingerprint.
So here's the final thought we want to leave you with today. Something to really chew on. If this intelligence possesses technology so advanced that it can selectively erase moments from digital records, make tire tracks simply end, or even jump recorded time backwards.
If it can choose what parts of an encounter are allowed to become stable data and what parts remain subjective memory,
Then how many other events, perhaps throughout history, large or small, were simply chosen not to be recorded? If they can edit reality on this small scale, what does that imply about the integrity and completeness of our entire perceived history, our entire digital world?
are we living in the original version
Or
or a carefully edited cut?
sleep tight.